Welcome to TinkerTalk, brought to you by Azeroth Radio, your weekly dose of World of Warcraft updates and nerdy excitement. Let's dive into the 11.1.7 public test realm notes for the War Within and see what Blizzard has in store.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. We're looking at the official development notes for the public test realm, so this is stuff players are actually testing right now.
Exactly. And our mission today, to sift through all this info, pull out the really interesting bits, and talk about what it means for you as we head towards World of Warcraft, the War Within.
We've got new campaigns, accessibility stuff, harder content, even some revamped older things. It covers a lot of ground.
It really does.
Yeah.
It feels like they're touching on all sorts of ways people play World of Warcraft.
For sure.
So where should we start? How about somewhere familiar, Arathi Highlands? We know the War Within is underground in Kaz Algar, but looks like there's action on the surface too.
That's right. They're adding a whole new multi-quest campaign there. It's bringing narrative focus back to, a classic zone. And the core conflict, well, it's classic too. Rising tensions between the Horde and Alliance.
Ah, back to the old stomping grounds. Anyone specific involved? Characters we know.
Yeah, the notes mentioned Farron and Daneth Trollbane, figures deeply tied to Arathi's history.
Yeah.
Bringing them back definitely signals this isn't just some random side quest.
And the structure sounds interesting.
It is, 2 chapters, but the cool part is it branches based on your faction, so you get different viewpoints depending if you're Horde or Alliance. Add some replayability, see the other side of the coin.
Ooh, I like that. Encourages playing both sides. And, players love their rewards. What shiny things can you get for doing this Arathi story?
Definitely some nice cosmetic stuff tied to the lore. Alliance players can grab the Stromguard Tabard.
Makes sense.
And Horde players get the Maghar Tabard. Plus, there's a shoulder transmog piece inspired by Farron's look.
Oh, directly tied to the character. That's pretty cool. Great for collectors and anyone into transmog.
Exactly. Gives you a nice memento of the story.
Speaking of stories, let's switch gears completely. We're going from new conflicts to revisiting the past. Lorewalker Cho is back.
He is, and it sounds like a really neat feature. It's a renewed questing experience for anyone level 10 and up. Lets you step back into some really key lore moments from across World of Warcraft's history.
Level 10? Wow, so really accessible. Great for, new players or people leveling all to missed expansions.
Absolutely. The idea is to make these crucial story beats easy to experience. You just find Lorewalker Cho in Stormwind, Orgrimmar, or even the new city, Dornogal.
And he guides you through specific stories.
Yeah, the notes lay out these repeatable quest chains. 3 specific ones they detail.
Okay, let's hear them. What's the first one?
First up is Meet the Ethereals. This one's a journey across expansions, really. You go back to Netherstorm, fight Dimensius, that's Burning Crusade era stuff.
Right, I remember that.
Then you jump ahead to Legion, meet Illyria and Locust Walker, and then even into Shadowlands, meeting the Brokers, getting into the Tazavesh storyline, meeting Venari. It kind of stitches together that whole cosmic plotline.
Whoa, okay. That covers a lot of ground. What's the second chain?
The second is Experience Azalatoth's storyline, which feels pretty relevant right now, given the War Within.
Definitely.
So this chain lets you revisit her origins, learning about the Blade of the Black Empire back in Legion, seeing how she got her physical form in Battle for Azeroth, and get this, it even takes you back in time to the Black Empire era to see her dealing with the old gods.
Wow. That's some deep lore diving.
Yeah.
Essential background for the next expansion, really. And the third one, Arthas.
Yeah, face the past with Arthas. This one sounds pretty heavy. You revisit Strathholm for a condensed version of the culling.
Oof. Iconic.
Relive the betrayal from Wrath of the Lich King. And then, this part sounds wild, you actually confront old memories by stepping into the role of the Lich King facing down heroes.
You play as Arthas, facing players.
Seems like it, based on the description. A really interesting narrative approach.
That sounds incredible. So this whole Lorewalker Cho thing is basically a curated lore museum you can walk through.
Pretty much. And the key is, you do it without other quests getting in the way. Just pure story focus. You can pop in, do a chain, pop out. Great for catching up or just reliving moments.
Fantastic for lore buffs or anyone feeling a bit lost in the timeline. Okay, so from lore walks to intensity. Let's talk about Overcharged Delves. Sounds like things are getting tougher.
Definitely tougher. They're adding a new difficulty layer specifically for Delves. It's not just more health, it's a new affix designed just for this.
An affix, like a Mythic Plus style?
Sort of, yeah. A specific modifier to shake things up. And they're rolling it out on 6 particular delves. Let me see. Cragfall's Rest, Skittering Breach, the Spiral Weave, Nightfall Sanctum, Fungal Folly, and Side Street Sluice.
Okay, so specific places. And the difficulty comes
from rare new enemies popping up and significantly more traps, like lots more traps.
More traps always means more fun. Or panic. But wait, there's a twist, right? Something about a trait tree.
Yes. This is the really interesting part. There's a new trait tree you unlock only for these overcharged delves. And the note suggests you can pick traits that actually let you turn those traps into, well, something good.
Turn traps into buffs. Or use them against enemies.
Something like that. It implies you can interact with the hazards in a beneficial way, which adds this whole strategic layer beyond just dodging. Could really change who you play them.
That does sound cool. A way to master the danger.
Yeah.
And tougher challenges mean better loot, I hope.
Oh yeah. The notes mention specific rewards. There's a new mount, the Overcharged mech suit, sounds very appropriate.
Yeah.
And a special gear piece, the Titan disc belt. Its name keeps changing slightly in the notes. Durable information storage container, durable information securing container, but the key thing is you unlock it, upgrade it weekly.
Okay.
And later updates added stamina, a socket, and crucially, its powers unlock across your entire warband once you get it.
The warband unlock? That's huge. No more grinding the same upgrade on every single alt.
Exactly. Massive quality of life win right there. Saves you a ton of time if you play multiple characters. Plus, new gear drops and more Delves currency too.
So lots of reasons for players who like a challenge or collect mounts and gear to jump into these Overcharged Delves.
For sure. And they mentioned tuning, spawn changes, performance fixes too. Important stuff for tougher content.
Good. Okay, let's shift again. From endgame challenge to making the game more approachable. New UI options. Combat Assistant and Single Button Assistant.
Yeah, these seem aimed squarely at lowering the barrier to entry, helping out newer players, people trying a new class, maybe folks with accessibility needs.
How does the Combat Assistant work?
It's built into the main UI. Basically, it highlights the ability the game thinks you should press next right there on your action bar. It looks at your resources, cooldowns, the situation, trying to guide your rotation without needing add-ons.
Like training wheels for your rotation.
Kinda, yeah. Just a visual suggestion. There's also a setting called Assisted Highlight that seems tied to controlling this.
Okay, so that's the visual guide. What about the Single Button Assistant? That sounds even more helpful.
It takes it a step further. You assign one button, press it, and it automatically casts the next ability the Combat Assistant recommends.
So the game presses the button for you, essentially.
When you press that one assigned button, yeah. But there's a catch, or rather a design choice.
Ah, okay. What's that?
It adds a small extra global cooldown between abilities compared to if you were pressing them manually.
Meaning
it's great for learning, or if you want a more relaxed pace focusing on story, exploring, that kind of thing. But it's explicitly not meant to give you top-tier performance in, say, high-end rating, or Mythic plus manual play will still be faster and more optimal.
So it's a tool, not a replacement for skill in competitive stuff. Does it handle complex things like AoE?
Apparently, yes. The notes say it even detects when to use area of effect or multi-target abilities. It seems pretty smart for what it aims to do.
That's really interesting. Like the cooldown manager they added before, these sound like tools that'll evolve. Good options for players who find rotations daunting or just want a different way to play?
Definitely seems focused on broadening the accessibility of World of Warcraft's combat.
Okay, speaking of older content getting updates. Timewalking. Battle for Azeroth. Timewalking is up for testing, and they're making changes.
Big changes, it sounds like. The goal, according to the devs, is making timewalking feel more authentic, and also making it better practice for actually using your class abilities, damage, healing, defensives.
Authentic how? Harder.
Pretty much. They want you to learn your class in realistic fights, especially bosses, not just steamroll everything. And they want your actual gear and chance gems to feel rewarding.
So how are they doing that specifically?
Several ways. Enemy health is up across the board in timewalking. Boss health is up significantly.
Right, that'll slow things down.
Right. And the scaling is adjusted. Lower geared players get a bit more damage resistance, but incoming damage hits harder if you are well geared, meaning you actually need to use your defensives again.
No more face rolling in max level gear then.
Exactly. Plus, they fixed the scaling issues so your enchants, gems, and stuff actually contribute properly to your power level in there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes having good gear feel worthwhile even in older content. And rewards are getting buffed too.
Yep. To match the increased challenge, timewalking dungeons will now drop Adventurer gear, which is a step up from Explorer gear.
Nice.
And you get more time warped badges, 25 per run instead of just 10.
That's a solid boost. So, more engaging gameplay, better practice, better rewards. Sounds like a win for timewalking fans.
Definitely add some much needed relevance and challenge back into it.
Quick detour back to the UI, small update to the cooldown manager.
Yeah, just a little quality of life thing. The essential and utility cooldown sections now track totems like Earthbind, Healing Stream Totem.
Ah, for shamans.
Right. And also some player summons that use the totem frame, like Earth Elemental or the Warlocks called Dreadstalkers. Just makes that tool more useful for those specific classes.
Good stuff for shamans and warlocks using that feature. All right, now for something fun. The greedy emissaries back? Treasure goblins.
They are. The event's back for testing. You can find those deviously greedy emissaries running around again.
Whereabouts? Same spots?
Notes list, Stormwind, Orgrimmar, the new city Dornegal, and interestingly, Undermine is included too.
Undermine. And the rewards. That's always the big draw for these events.
They're promising new diabolical rewards, including a new mount. But the big headline for many players, recolors of classic Tier 2 armor sets.
Tier 2 recolors? Are you serious? Like Judgment, Bloodfang.
That's what the notes say. Getting updated versions of those iconic looks is, well, huge for transmog collectors. Something people have asked for ages.
Absolutely massive news for anyone into collecting appearances. How does the event actually work again? How do you find them?
Okay, so the treasure goblins spawn hourly on the hour in Stormwind, Orgrimmar, and Dornogal. Simple enough.
Right?
Undermine is different. Specific rare mobs there have a chance to spawn a portal when defeated. Only one portal per rare per hour, though.
Oh, portal. Interesting.
Yeah, and there's a hint about maybe getting an elixir from a goblin and using it on a portal. Some kind of synergy there, potentially. Adds a bit of a chase.
Sounds like a fun little world event, especially with those Tier 2 recolors on the line.
Definitely motivation to hunt them down.
One last thing, standard public test realm stuff. Any known issues we should mention?
Just one major one called out in these notes. Mac users might see some graphical distortion, pretty typical for PTR testing. Hopefully it gets ironed out before it goes live.
Right, part of the process. Okay,
Right.
wow, that was a lot. We covered the new Arathi campaign, Lorewalker Cho's history lessons, Overcharged Delves, those new combat assistant UI options, Timewalking getting tougher, the cooldown manager tweak, and the return of the greedy emissary with T2 recolors.
It really shows the range, doesn't it? Something for lore fans, challenge seekers, collectors, new players. It hits a lot of different playstyles, and it's great that players get to test all this significant stuff on the public test realm first.
Absolutely, it shapes the final product.
Uh.
So, wrapping up. Considering how these notes blend, revisiting classic moments and places with introducing entirely new challenges and accessibility options for the future of World of Warcraft, what kind of adventure are you most excited to dive into first when Legacy of Arathor arrives?
Good question to ponder. There's a lot to look forward to.
Definitely. Thanks for tuning in to TinkerTalk on Azeroth Radio. We'll catch you next time.